it too far. At the Spring '96 fashion collections, the appearance of one 17-year-old newcomer, Jodie Kidd, gave cause for concern. She'd been modelling for just 6 months and at 6 foot tall had become an instant star. But on the catwalk this time, the press decided her flat stomach was virtually concave. Jodie was too thin. Her age became an issue. Was the young model the victim of too much pressure too soon? But that was before Rachel Kirby appeared on the modelling scene. Rachel posed in this fashion shoot for ID magazine, scantily clad and in provocative poses, aged just 12 years old. There was an outcry. Condemnation poured in from MPs and the press. Her agency Select put her modelling career on hold. But it wasn't on hold for very long. 6 months later, Rachel was modelling again, this time on the catwalks of Milan at the ripe old age of 13. 1996 was the year when models weren't just thin, they were prepubescent. Haughty looks and good breeding came back into fashion in a big way in 1996. While the early 90s were the era of London girls like Kate Moss and Naomi Campbell, 1996 was definitely the year of the aristocratic model. Honor Fraser, the sister of Lord Lovat, is from one of the poshest clans in Scotland. She was brought up in the magnificent Beaufort Castle. Her modelling career began modestly with a few London shows, but now she's an international star, easily distinguished on the catwalk with her high-stepping walk. She's deliciously eccentric and spent much of London Fashion Week wrapped in a rather odd and unfashionable scarf.
This is a friend of mine who makes these called Joe. And I think they're very beautiful, so I think, I love them. I think they're really funky. And it also is quite cold here.
Iris Palmer, daughter of Sir Mark Palmer, has also had an excellent year appearing in many shows. She was on the catwalk at the same time as her more famous cousin, Stella Tennant.
Well, it's kind of funny seeing Iris being on the runway, doing the same shows and things, but it's great.
Stella Tennant's sudden fame has come about because she's landed one of the most prestigious jobs in modelling. She's the new face at Chanel. Stella tends to talk down her aristocratic connections, but she's the granddaughter of the Duchess of Devonshire and niece of Lord Glencoma. But what's behind the sudden popularity of upper-class models?
They're a story in their own right. I mean, I think the one the best known is the Chanel model, and Karl Lagerfeld and the Chanel people always like to have somebody they can talk about. And also I think there's a fashion for these sort of quite spiky English looks. I think it's also because they're interesting as people as well. They're quite often doing things, and they have already a certain amount of glamour.
'96 was a less good year for supermodel Claudia Schiffer. The German beauty used to be the face of Chanel. Stella's appointment meant the job was no longer hers. The ultimate insult came when Chanel's designer Karl Lagerfeld said that Claudia's face belonged to a different decade. On the romance front, '96 wasn't a good year for Claudia either. At one time, she was engaged to multi-millionaire magician David Copperfield, but they seemed in no hurry to marry.
I don't know. We're enjoying our engagement. We're just, doing our thing.
We're just taking our time, having fun.
And somehow the fun must have run out because the romance seemed to vanish into thin air. But what do you do when your steps on the catwalk are numbered? With the future firmly in mind, some top models branched out during '96 into new and lucrative ventures. Claudia Schiffer, Naomi Campbell and Christy Turlington opened London's Fashion Cafe. Food and fashion might seem an odd combination, but they were hoping burgers and salads would provide an alternative source of income when modelling work becomes a little thin. And before their figures got spoiled by too many chips, the girls cashed in on their perfect curves by modelling for a range of dolls. Barbie, eat your heart out. In 1996, it became possible to buy a Naomi, Claudia and Karen Mulder doll.
Being a model, I think, sometimes you kind of feel like a doll. People dress you up, they take your clothes off, they do your hair, they do your makeup. And when I was little, I was playing with my dolls the same way. So somewhere it's fun, you feel like a little girl again.
I hope they sell very well. I hope they go to children that need them and to people that like them. And I hope they last for a long time, longer than we do.